Hello everyone. So welcome back on this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to this video. So as I have already explained about the economy, industry and company factors that you will be looking at, and basis those you will be preparing your report. Now today we'll be discussing on the final checklist for equity research, which is extremely crucial for you to ask as questions when you are either preparing a report or having a look at a report and you want to gather some information or data out of the same. So the first thing that when reading an equity research report, it is essential to ask some critical questions. Why would you ask questions? It is to understand the analysis and the assumptions that were taken to prepare the report. Now, before you start preparing a report on your own, it is very important that you have a look at some existing reports. And then out of those, you see what all other sections there. Why is it important? Why is it there? And what kind of information does it provide? Some of the questions that you may have to ask, and make sure that if you prepare a report, anybody looking at your report should be able to answer these questions. So as far as the company analysis is concerned, I already spoke of the factors which were, the revenue drivers, the cost drivers, the mergers and acquisition in the business, all the financial statement analysis, the ratio analysis. But again, as I already said, it's important to understand the business model. When I say what is the company's business model, I mean this question talks about answering the fundamentals of why the company has come into existence in the first place. So the company came into existence because it wanted to sell products and services, right? So we would talk about the geography it belongs to, the kind of customers it caters to, the segmentation is it has, the targeting it does for the respective customer base. Then what kind of products and services do they sell? So basically, when I talk about the business model, I'm trying to comment on how the company operates, what kind of business does it have, what products and services does it sell, what is the weightage of the revenue coming from what geography, and what is the weightage by different segments of products and services. So business model should talk about the business description. It should talk about what the company is all about, what it does, how it does, and from where it operates its business. This information you'll get from the company's annual report and on the company's official website. Again, what are the primary sources of revenue? So if somebody has to ask you this question, you will talk about where the revenue is coming from, again, by geography and by segments. So this talks about this revenue split of the business. If 100% of the revenue is coming from, let's say, financial services sector, then out of that 100% revenue, how much is coming from the internal customers, how much is coming from the interest income earned by the bank, how much is coming by lending loans to the borrowers, etc. So we'll have a look at the same when we'll have an annual report in front of us. And from that annual report, we'll bring the numbers to Excel and start our analysis. But for now, understand that we will question these two things and make sure we have incorporated the reasoning behind these two things in our equity research report, as well as the Word document that I asked you to prepare for the company analysis. Then how does the company differentiate itself from the competitor? So this is the economic moat or the competitive advantage that the company has with respect to its comparable companies. Again, I talked about this when we were looking at the Excel model that I prepared, that I showed you, right? So let me just walk you through that again. So here we talked about the industry analysis, we talked about the company analysis, and we said there can be an advantage a company has with as compared to its competitors. So this needs to be considered and should be answered equally, right? Again, you will be referring to the Excel file that I explained in the previous video to look at the factors and the points for the company and industry analysis. And that is where, if you recall, I talked about the MOAT or the economic MOAT and the advantage the company has with respect to its competitors. The company might have an advantage with respect to technology. It might have advantage with respect to its customer base, with respect to the production of goods and services, how much it produces, considering the capacity of its of its machinery, etc. So for that, you will have to dig deep into what differentiates a company from its competitors. Now, what are the company's strengths and weaknesses? Again, I asked you to prepare a SWOT analysis for the company and the industry both. So the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats for the industry will more or less stay the same for the company. However, in some cases, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats also are the financial metrics, such as having positive EBITDA, positive revenue, having a year-on-year growth rate for 3 years consecutively, having no leverage or debt in the capital structure can also be one of the strengths that a company possesses. Again, for this, you will have to look at the SWOT analysis and prepare a SWOT table or a graph for your respective company, and then come back to me with your analysis. Are there any potential risks or uncertainties facing the company? Again, I think I've covered this point when I was talking about the industry analysis, and I told you that we will have to look at the economy first to analyze what could be the potential risk constraints, risk factors posing as a threat for for the company and the entire industry in general. So these five pointers or these five questions must be answered while you are doing your research and are extremely crucial for any recruiter's point of view or from an interview point of view. So take this PDF as a check from the technical interview perspective as well. Now let's move to the industry analysis. The industry analysis says that the first question you must answer is, what is the current state of the industry in which the company operates? Again, talk about the scope, talk about the CAGR, talk about the year-on-year growth rates that the industry particularly has achieved over a period of time, and the projected numbers that the analysts or the research houses are expecting out of that industry, considering its past performance. Are there any significant trends or developments affecting the industry? For this, you'll have to look at the news articles. You'll have to see how the dynamics of that industry has changed. Just to give you an example, the radio broadcasting industry has drastically moved to digitalization, right? Very few people listen to radio nowadays. We have switched to, we don't listen to FM anymore. We do listen to radios and FM, but there has been a lot of digitalization. In earlier times, there was this box where people used to play a cassette and they used to listen to music, or there were newspapers that people used to read, right? So the broadcasting sector was previously or traditionally very, I would say, print media was very famous. Nowadays, people don't have the time to read the print media, and they rely more on listening to the news or reading those 60 seconds shots that are there in InShot, etc. So the trends and developments which have affected the industry, it could be a positive impact or a negative impact, but yes, the trends and developments which are affecting your industry has to be answered as a part of your analysis. Also, reiterating that for the industry analysis, I have asked you to prepare a presentation at your end, because once you are done with all the videos and once you've done the research and analysis, I would personally like to have a look at the industry reports you have prepared. You will be submitting your industry analysis presentations and also the equity research report to me in the classroom or the Google ID, whichever is available, and I will provide your feedback on the same. So try and work around these questions alongside, and don't wait for them to be incorporated in the end. How does the company position itself within the industry? Again, it's a part of the industry analysis. And to answer this question, and also what are the growth prospects for the industry, you must have a holistic view about how the industry is formed. What are the sub-industries? What are the sub-sectors within those industry? And how does the company position itself within the industry that it belongs to? What is its market share? Whether it's a market leader? How much is the market position of the company in that industry? How much revenue is it generating out of the total revenue that the industry generates out of all the companies that are a part of it? So where is the company positioned, or where is the company standing with respect to other competitors within the industry is important to understand. The growth prospects for the industry will depend on the revenue drivers. It will depend on the strengths that an industry has. It will depend on the competitive advantage that a particular industry might have in a particular country also. So in India, maybe farming industry would boom all the time, and so does organic farming. Because by default, we know that India is a land of diversity. It's a land of its villages. It's a land rich in farming and agriculture. And hence, you should be able to have a clarity about what works for a particular country, and within the particular industry, what are the factors you have looked at. So company analysis and industry analysis are more or less interlinked to each other and should work around the same things. Again, now you are done with the company and industry analysis, you've built a presentation, and whatever understanding you have gathered on the company, you started putting it in a Word document in a structured format. Right? I'll share with you as to what are the contents of an equity research report and how you should go about it in later videos. But for now, make sure you are incorporating all of these points. How has the company's financial performance been historically? Now, this is entirely financial, which means that before you actually comment on these, you should gather a good understanding on what an income statement is, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement are. So I'll explain the basics, but it's important you walk through a real company's annual report to understand these factors better. And you'll only be able to answer these things once you have performed the analysis in Excel. So you'll move the numbers from the annual report to an Excel file, and in that Excel file, you will do the basic analysis of year-on-year growth rate or the percentage, every component as a percentage of revenue and every component as a percentage of total assets and liabilities, which I will show you in an Excel as in when we do it. What are the key financial metrics, the revenue growth, profit margins? Again, it talks about the ratio analysis. So the profitability or the key KPIs. So if I ask you that what are the key KPIs for your company, it means I'm trying to ask you about the sales growth. I'm asking about the debtor days. I'm asking about the turnover ratios, the return on equity ratios. What is the return for the equity investor? What is the earnings per share for the investors, etc. And how are they compared to the competitors? Because only then I will be able to comment if the financial performance was at par, above, or below the expected performance of the competitors. Are there any recent or anticipated changes? Now, what could these changes be? Tell me. These changes can possibly be because of any market news that happened, because of any COVID-related or abnormal market condition or unnatural factors that happened in the economy. It could be because of the economy being hit by a financial downfall or contractions in the economy because of any global outturn, right? So the anticipated changes or the recent changes you'd get to know from the company's website again, and also from the news articles about whether there were some mergers, acquisitions, or some internal restructuring, external restructuring that happened, which could impact the valuation of the business in the long run. So these three are the most important as far as equity research. However, a step forward or an additional step that is relevant is the valuation questions that you can ask. The valuation questions, the risk and challenges, the management and governance, investment thesis, peer comparison. So I'll talk about the peer comparison first, and then I'll come to the valuation part. So for the peer comparison, how does a company compare to its peers in terms of financial performance, valuation, and strategic positioning? So this I already covered as a part of this, which when we talked about, what are the key metrics and how do they compare to the competitors. So this line under financial performance covers this first point in peer comparison. So you can use the same answer for both of the questions. Are there any notable differences or advantages, disadvantages compared to the competitors? So we are trying to understand that whether there have been any disadvantages, advantages, which are compared to the competitors. Is there anything specific with your company that is not there as a part of the competitors? Or is there any competitor that is performing or doing something which gives them an advantage or a disadvantage? So this again means that once you are looking at your own company in detail, you should also spend sufficient time to look at the competitors and then come up with an analysis on the same, right? Again, I'll share this PDF with you, or you can just have a look at it and take a screenshot. I will not be explaining the valuation and all of these factors in detail at the moment, because your objective should be to focus on preparing the presentation and the report as of now. But you would have this document handy and you can have a look at it as and when you want. Right. And as far as the company analysis is concerned, we will have a look at this in greater detail as in when we'll do some sort of an analysis. So I just want to show you that in this document, you will find in detail the pointers additional to what I had explained in the last video on the company analysis, right? For every caveat, what exactly would you be covering under these, right? So you'll have this document, but for today's video, I hope that you were able to gather a good understanding on the checklist and what exactly should you incorporate as a part of your analysis. If this was clear, then you are good to go and work on the industry analysis first. I will be sharing an example industry analysis with you. However, it is an old video and I want you all to do as much creativity as you want and make sure of a few things that hold true for any presentation. Once this is done, we will move to an Excel file and start with the company analysis in the next video. All the very best, and I'll see you in the next session.